Hello and welcome to Blank Plate, a podcast for Swifties with an appetite. I'm Sara, and I used to be a little kid with glasses in a twin-size bed. My co-host, Laura, is a mess, but she's the mess that she wanted because she's currently on maternity leave. So today I'm here with a special guest to chat about all things Taylor Swift. I'm here with my friend Stef. She is a physician assistant and a cat and dog mom who loves to garden. And she's also my Swiftie bestie here in the Lehigh Valley. So Stef, welcome to Blank Plate.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super honored.
And right off the bat, we got to ask you, what would your tagline be?
My tagline is, I've never been a natural. All I do is try, try, try.
Yeah, which is such a good one. I think so many people would probably pick that one too.
Yeah, definitely the first time I heard it, it hit me a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good one. From Mirrorball, classic, which Laura and I just did that one for the Patreon. So if anyone wants to check that out.
A lot to dig into in Mirrorball.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So we should probably start by giving some background on how you and I know each other and became friends. So you were initially working with my husband, Josh, because you were running for office.
Yes.
And he was just helping you, right? Is that the deal?
He definitely mentored me a lot. It was my first time running. And he gave me so much advice, answered any questions. He really showed me the ropes.
Yeah.
So forever awesome. Grateful for Josh.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely the perfect person to snag for a mentorship like that, because even at his young age, he's been running for office for 10 years. So crazy.
And I got to meet you through it, which is probably even more important to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So I obviously had met you a few times at various events with Josh, and I knew he was helping you and stuff. But then it was, I think, at Josh's campaign kickoff event, which was almost a year and a half ago, where you came up to me and were like, I heard that you're a really big Swiftie, which opening the Pandora's box.
Yeah. You might not remember how I knew that. It was because I guess maybe it was a year before that, a few months before that. It's all a blur at this point, but there was another holiday party and there was a football game on, and it was a Chiefs game.
Okay.
And we were standing in a group and you were looking over my shoulder at the TV. And I was like, oh, what team are you watching? And you just said Taylor. I was like, okay, I get it. Cool. Yeah. She's a Swiftie.
That's funny. I don't even remember that. But I can't even think of where that was.
It was at Mallory's house.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I remember. Yeah, so then at Josh's event, you more specifically came up to me and were like, hey, I heard you're a Swiftie. I'm a new Swiftie. And you also so kindly were like, I know you're new to the area. If you need friends, we should get lunch, or, we should hang out, which was so nice. And then you actually followed through on that, which was amazing. But of course, we started chatting about Taylor, and I was so excited to hear that you were a new Swiftie. So of course I was like, well, what got you into it and everything? And then basically from that day on, I think we started texting daily about Taylor Swift and related things.
It would be pretty fun from your point of view, to hear a new person's perspective and the things that I was so excited about.
Yeah.
That maybe you hadn't thought about in a while, or just.
Right.
It was probably fun.
Yeah. Well, and, regular listeners of this podcast probably know that I frequently mention my friend Stef, and that's you.
Oh.
So I'm always like, oh, my friend Stef and I were talking about this, or, So this is Stef. That's what I was talking about. But yeah, so Taylor was definitely our gateway into becoming real friends.
Yeah.
And then I got you into like Gracie Abrams
Yeah.
and stuff
And Noah.
and Noah. And then you were the one who kind of got me like actually into Audrey Hobart, which
Mm.
we're going to see her in June, which is going to
Yeah.
be super fun.
Can't wait.
So yeah, we definitely have like really similar taste in music and then like movies and TV shows and stuff. So
Yeah.
we were both obsessed with Wuthering Heights.
Yeah.
We saw it together twice. Yeah.
I purchased a record player because of you and my first vinyls.
Uh-oh. Oh no.
Yeah, it
Oh,
started.
yeah. Oh, and then you and I went together to the record store to celebrate when Taylor bought her music, and we
Yeah.
each bought a Taylor vinyl.
Yep.
Which one did you buy that day?
Reputation.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I bought Red, the original, which was my like
Ooh.
first Swiftie album,
Yeah.
which was symbolic for me. So,
Nice.
yeah. So yeah, that's kind of our backstory, you and me. So
Mhm.
now we gotta go back to your Swiftie origin story. So
Yep.
how did this happen? Because you are a late Swiftie, but I have to give you credit because you dove in so hard. Like you covered so much ground of all of the lore in a very short
Mhm.
period of time.
I am definitely a person that if I find something I'm interested, I will hyperfixate on it, like,
Mhm.
and just gobble up everything I can. And with
Mhm.
Taylor, there's so much content and lore, and
She's perfect for that.
yeah, it's like 20 years at this point.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, even though I'm not really a Marvel fan, but like I understand
Yeah.
how the stories all intertwine, the characters come up over and over. And it reminds me of Taylor's work. Like after all this time, it's its own universe. It's
Yeah.
you
It
can
is
kind
the
of
Taylor
never
Cinematic Universe.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll just start at 20 years ago in 2006.
Yeah.
I'll speed through this because there's not that much to say, but
Yeah.
I was never a hater, I'll say that. I was
Mhm.
always a casual fan. And around 2006, I started first getting into country music. I actually really disliked country music. And for some reason, the music that was coming out at that time, I started to like it. That's like when Taylor first came on the scene,
Mhm.
Carrie Underwood. It just started, Tim McGraw, Garth Brooks. I started to really like it. I started going to a country line dancing bar in California where I used to live.
Uh-huh.
Um, so, her songs were so popular at the time. I would hear them a lot
Mhm.
on the radio. The way the radio used to be, they would like play songs to death. And so
Yeah.
I would like her songs as they came out. And then I feel like the radio would
Ruined
kill
it.
them basically by like overplaying. But
Yeah.
I always respected her. I always enjoyed her songs, but I was never like obsessed because I felt like I was born in 81. So I was definitely like she was 16 writing these songs. I was like 24 by that point. So I
Mhm.
couldn't relate as much. Um and I never listened to like a full album. Her radio songs I liked. The first song I ever added to a playlist was Sparks Fly. I have no
Okay.
idea why. I love that
Yeah.
song. I still do. And then the first song I was really obsessed with was Delicate. I've told you that before. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite songs. Obsessed with the music video. Like it's all perfect to me.
Mhm.
I didn't really know a lot of songs on Reputation actually, but then when Lover came out, I really vibed with a lot of the songs. I love Paper
Okay.
Rings, You Need to Calm Down. I love that song and the music video.
Mhm.
Lover, like the title track, Lover, I
Mhm.
love. Um, so I like started to get into a little bit more. I literally completely missed Evermore and Folklore
Crazy.
and Evermore.
Yeah.
Very crazy.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like at that point, like if you weren't a fan, like you
Mhm.
wouldn't really be paying attention that she surprise dropped an album
Right.
in the middle of July.
Right.
July, right?
Yes. Yeah. Also, there
Um,
was kind of like a lot going on at that time.
yeah, there was a pandemic going on and
Hmm. Yeah, and I'm
yeah,
sure you had like a lot of personal things going on too. So it's like sometimes we just miss this stuff,
yeah.
you know?
So completely missed it, but that was also around the time that Miss Americana came out. And
Hmm.
so I watched that and I gained even more respect for her. Like her being so open about her eating disorder and her sexual assault, which holy crap. And the
Hmm.
way she handled that like is inspiring. Like
Yeah.
she put that jerk in his place and
Yeah.
he's never been heard from again.
All right.
Like her her like confidence and power is very inspiring to me.
Hmm.
And then somehow all too well 10-minute version popped onto my algorithm. And that was I think the first of her songs that I really was amazed by the writing.
Okay.
Like it's a full 10-minute song that is not boring. Like it
Hmm.
you wouldn't even notice it's 10 minutes. Um
Hmm.
and the line so casually cruel in the name of being honest, that struck a chord with me.
Yeah.
Like there's certain lyrics and certain songs where it just hits you. So that
Hmm.
was one.
Hmm.
Um and so I listened to that song over and over.
Yeah.
If I was like in a parking lot getting to my location, like I would sit there until it ended because I loved it.
Yeah.
And I also didn't know about her re-record project. Like
Oh,
I had
okay.
no idea about that.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that this was a longer version of a song that she had released on the original
Yeah.
Red. I didn't know. I thought TV meant television. Like
No, I went through moments in time where what people would say is blah 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 TV, and I was like, television? What?
yeah, I thought she was making like her own like, Oprah network, like
Right.
Taylor's
Yeah.
TV channel.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Right.
Um,
Well,
because I was like, "What?"
this is interesting though, because I feel like you had more of a slow ramp up to being a Swiftie than I thought you did. Like, it's interesting how, like, you've actually interacted with her in almost every era, but
Yeah,
you were more of this just kind of, like, casual fan of, like, I
yeah.
know some songs, I like them. Taylor Swift is definitely an artist that I enjoy, but
Mhm.
you were, like, the way you miss, like, the re-recordings things, you miss Folklore and Evermore, like,
Yeah,
it's like you're there on the outskirts, you know?
kinda. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't remember if I started to learn about the re-record project around then or if it was more, like Eras Tour time
Okay.
because when Midnights came out, that was when I actually, like, said to myself, "I need to see what all the hype
Mhm.
is about." Like, why are people falling over themselves to see this woman and are so obsessed with her?
Mhm.
I just had to see because I also wasn't really a person who would listen to full albums as they came
Mhm.
out.
Mhm.
I I love music and I would usually just pick songs and like make playlists of songs that I liked.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really a person that would like digest an entire album at once.
Okay.
But Midnights, I was like, I gotta see what the hype is.
Yeah.
So I listened to the standard version of Midnights. Like,
Okay.
again, I was not
Right. You didn't know
in
about the
enough.
3 AM tracks.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't know about any of the bonus tracks, which, like,
Yeah.
now I know these are like the best of her songs. Like, a lot of times the bonus tracks are the best songs on the album.
Right.
Um, so Midnights, like some standouts, obviously Maroon. Like, when the first beat of it, I was like, ooh, I gotta
Yeah.
pay attention to this one. You're on Your Own Kid is one of my favorites. That one
Mhm.
really hit me.
Mhm.
And then Antihero, again, like that one, her lyrics, her writing, specifically the line where she says, "Did you hear my covert narcissism? I disguise as altruism like some kind of Congress."
Right, yeah.
It's so good. It's so
Yeah.
good. And I was like, okay, I'm starting to understand like the writing. But like still I hadn't like fallen completely down the rabbit hole yet.
Yeah.
Then the Eras tour started, and Cruel Summer went viral like
Mhm.
that summer of 23.
Yeah.
And I definitely became obsessed with that song.
Yeah.
It's so fun. A few months later is when I saw you at that party at the
Yeah.
football game because, like, I didn't know at that point I really didn't know any other Swifties, like, in my life.
Okay. And that would have been before Tortured Poets came out because that was in, like, December.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And then when Tortured Poets came out, at this point, then I was on TikTok, and so
Mm.
the algorithm started, like, feeding me a lot more Taylor content, like,
Mhm.
it's kinda scary how it knew me, like, it knew it knew what I was going to like.
TikTok always knows. It knows us
Yeah,
better than we
yeah.
know ourselves.
But I was also, like, really paying attention to people's responses to the album, and people were so mean. Like,
Mhm.
saying that all the songs sounded the same, like, it was so long and it just sounded like one continuous song.
Mhm.
Uh, so I actually didn't listen to it right away until I saw the performances, like, once
Mhm.
she added it into the tour.
Yeah.
The Smallest Man, it was I couldn't stop watching it.
Yeah.
I was like, her facial expressions, her, like, drama, the way that they like, the red light flashing, like, being shot, like, all those
Yeah.
things, I was like, "Holy crap, this is really entertaining."
Yeah.
So, I bought the album. Like, I embarrassingly enough too, I didn't even, like, have Apple Music at that point or Spotify.
Oh,
I was,
okay.
like, clinging to Pandora for, like,
Oh my
15
god.
years.
You and my dad.
Yep,
You and my
yep,
parents.
yeah. So I actually, like, purchased Tortured Poets Apartment
On, like, Apple Music?
on Apple Music. Yeah,
Like,
like,
iTunes? Like, you paid for the album?
yes, exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Paid for it.
Amazing.
I started listening to, like, the first songs I think that really caught my attention were Down Bad, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. Like, I'm
Mhm.
definitely a synth pop girly, like, I really have a
Yeah.
soft spot for it.
Like,
So
Delicate.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly, and, like, almost all of 1989.
Right.
And so the album was so long, I was kind of overwhelmed by it.
Yeah.
So, the way that I would start to, like, hear new songs is I would listen to the ones that I knew I liked, and then whatever came after it, and then
Mhm.
whatever came after that one. And then I actually started really enjoying the anthology, and, like, How Did It End is so brilliant to me.
Mhm.
Peter, The
Yeah.
Bolter, I
Mhm.
just finally, like, the whole album sunk into me, and that was when I fell down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I get what everyone is, like, obsessed about her writing because
Mhm.
how? Like,
Yeah.
how she wrote all those songs
Mhm.
during a tour." uh, I was just, like, floored by it.
Yeah. But the real catalyst was, like, that performance of The Smallest Man Who Ever
Yeah,
Lived.
yeah, it
That
was
was the thing that, like, hit you like a Mack truck,
yes,
and it was like,
that
"Oh."
was the turning point. Yeah, it was, like,
Yeah.
the
That.
marching, the drama, the cinema. Yeah,
Mhm.
it was cool.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Um, yeah, so then I just started watching a ton of reaction videos, and I would look at all the
Mm.
comments because people are really good about recommending songs for
Mm.
new listeners. And over, people just kept saying, Reputation, you gotta listen to Reputation.
Mhm.
And at that point, there was no Taylor's version. And so, but I had to. Like,
Yeah.
all the other ones, I'm like, okay, I'll listen to the Taylor's version. Like, I know I have to do that.
Mhm.
But I hadn't heard Reputation start to finish, and
Mhm.
I just knew I had to, so I kind of, like, went backwards a little bit, like, album by album.
Yeah.
I'd listen to it over and over till I got the gist of it till it sunk in, and then I would
Mhm.
go back another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I spent several months doing that, and I think I had not run into you yet until
Mm.
there was, like, several albums deep, and I
Yeah.
had so much to talk to you about.
Yeah, well, okay, so then the party where like, Josh's event where you told me you had become a Swiftie was in December, and the party where you said that I said I was rooting for Taylor for football would have been a year before that.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. 'Cause that would
So
have been in December.
and she added Tortured Poets to the Eras tour. Was it
In, like, June? May or June. Yeah.
so sometime around then, May to
Okay.
when I saw you again, yeah, it was, like,
So about
6
6
months
months.
of yes.
Wow. Yeah. Look at you now.
Like
You've also like, you are also a Reddit deep diver.
oh my god, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah, you would text me like, "I saw this thing on Reddit, and I went down a rabbit hole," and, like, you're, like, asking me about the lore of various things and whatnot.
Yeah,
So,
because
yeah.
I also didn't understand the layers of the songs.
Mm.
Um, like, you can listen to it at first, and it has one meaning, and then as you listen to it more, you notice
Mhm.
deeper meanings.
Mhm.
So, like I said, as a hyper fixator, I
Mhm.
started reading everyone's, like, interpretations of various songs,
Mhm.
and that made me realize, like, oh, there's so much depth that I still
Mhm.
haven't even reached yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I definitely went through a lot of Reddit deep diving. Sometimes it would bother me because people were not kind to each other.
Right.
Like, a
Yeah.
lot of things are up for
Especially on Reddit.
interpretation. Yep, and there's no wrong way to interpret a song, like,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
some people think, there's only one way, whatever.
Right.
So, I have to do that with a grain of salt,
Yeah.
but that also introduced me to Easter eggs and clowning and yeah,
Right.
and then I really enjoy that too.
Yeah.
That's, like, one of my favorite parts about being a Swiftie.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, and then you and Josh and I all watched Taylor on New Heights together because you came over for
Yeah.
that,
Yes,
and then
yes.
you and I saw the Showgirl movie together after I had
Yeah.
already seen it that morning with Laura.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so
that's
fun.
awesome. Yeah, like, yeah, your journey has been, like, much longer than I thought. Like, I was
It
thinking that it basically started with the Eras Tour smallest band performance, but it you were really, like, tiptoeing your way in for a while.
yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
like, kinda looking in the window, but not quite all the way in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
One of
gosh.
my biggest regrets, honestly, is, like, not being, like, all the way in sooner because I feel like
Yeah.
I missed so much excitement and fun, but that's okay.
Mhm.
Better
Yeah.
late than never.
Better late than never. Oh my gosh. Well, okay, so let's get into a couple heavy hitter questions.
Sure.
Kind of almost rapid fire, but,
Okay.
feel free to expound on anything.
Okay.
Let's start with, what's your favorite album?
Reputation, for sure.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
question. Well,
It's a good pick so
so
far.
far.
Right. Okay. What is your least favorite album?
Probably debut,
Yeah.
unfortunately. I mean, it's
Yeah.
good, but
I'm really excited for Taylor's version of that, though.
I am too. Like, I wanna hear the songs in her mature voice,
Mhm.
and I also wanna see if she kind of brings back the, like, country twang.
Yeah.
I think it'll be cool if she does it.
It would be really funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright, how about your top 5 songs, at least as of today?
Yeah. Of course, that's very tough because it does change by the day.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say Delicate, I Did Something Bad.
Okay.
That will forever be one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
Fate of Ophelia, actually.
Crazy. That's
Totally love
amazing.
it. Love it,
Yeah.
love it. Getaway Car
Nice.
and August.
Oh, these like those are some of my favorites as well, for
Yeah.
sure.
I
I did
was born
something
in
bad.
August.
Oh, right. Yeah, you have an August
Yeah, so
birthday. August
definitely
is probably in my top 5 and Getaway Car for sure.
yeah.
But man, that's tough.
August, like, I don't know how she does this, but the song feels like the month of August.
Mhm. Well, it sounds like the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, the thing that gets me is that, like, outro of August sounds like waves crashing at the shore.
Yes.
I don't know
Yeah,
how Jack did it, but that's he, like, encapsulated that in sound
totally.
with
Yeah,
instruments.
yeah. He
I
is
don't know.
brilliant in his own
Yeah.
right.
Are you more of a Jack Antonoff person? Or, like, who do you think your favorite producer is?
I
Although
think if I had to pick,
yeah,
oh man, it's
I feel
either
like I
Jack
have a
or
guess.
Aaron.
Oh, really? Because I was gonna say you might, like, actually be like a Martin and Shellback person.
It's really hard. I think
Yeah.
if I had to pick, I think Jack, he's
Mhm.
he's very creative,
Yeah.
and I feel like it his just hits, like they all hit.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I think you are a lot like me where, like, you would probably say you prefer Jack, right? But you also love Aaron songs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Plus, like, you loving Gracie Abrams and now Noah Kahan, like, Aaron's all over that right now.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the thing. It's like they're all great. They all have their strengths, you know?
Definitely.
They all
Yeah.
bring something to the table.
Right.
Okay, are there any songs that you hate?
I don't wanna say hate, but, like, a strong dislike.
Yeah.
Su Superman.
Oh, okay. That's fair. That's totally fair. I think most
Like
people you know what, though? I don't hate that song, but I don't like it necessarily. You know what I mean?
and just, like, knowing who it's about makes me
Who is it
actually
about?
I thought it's about John Mayer.
Okay, yeah, I think I kinda read that before. It probably yeah. Mm.
Yeah, it gives me the ick.
Well, and, like, I think I've read it before as, like, being about her dad, but if it's actually about John Mayer, like, that's where, like, the age gap and, like, weirdness comes in, and I'm like, "Something's icky about this."
Right, because if it could be her dad or John Mayer, then that's too much of an age gap.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a little strange.
Yeah.
Alright, so is there a Taylor song that feels uniquely personal to you? And this is, like, different from, like, your top 5 songs or whatever, like,
Mhm.
is there a song that you feel like she wrote it about your life or it feels like she was living in your walls when she wrote it or something?
I would say "You're on Your Own, Kid."
Yeah.
It just it's about well, what I think it's about is personal strength, believing in yourself, like, believing in yourself so much that you know you can handle anything because
Mm.
you've made it this far.
Yeah.
And in my own life, so I'm a cancer survivor. I
Mhm.
am 10 years cancer free, so that's like
Woo!
yeah. Um, but going through that, like I lost my dad a few years ago, just going through tough times
Yeah.
and being the my personality is very stoic. I
Mm.
really like to ask for help. I kind of like just take things on my own. Like you would never know anything's wrong.
Mhm.
So that just the line of "You're on your own, kid, you always have been"
Mhm.
is like, "You look what you made it through. You're gonna
Mhm.
be fine."
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's also saying, like, no one's coming to save you, but that's okay because you never needed
Mhm.
anyone to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that one, it
Yeah.
gets emotional.
Yeah. And you're the eldest daughter, right?
Yep, yep.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, that tracks. Yeah, Laura and I also did that one on the Patreon, and we talked about how the ending of that song, not just the lyrics, but musically, the way that it builds at the end just makes you cry. There's
Totally.
something about it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I love that. I love that interpretation of it too. And I can definitely relate to that as well. Like when you've had to go through really tough stuff in your life and you make it out the other side, you do look back and think like, well, if I made it through that, I can get through anything.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yep.
try your best, you know?
Yeah.
I can handle it,
Yeah.
you know?
And I remember watching her the NYU commencement speech
Mhm.
because I heard that she had peppered in all these like Easter eggs for Midnight's lyrics.
Yeah.
And she says to them, like, I think she says, like, the bad news is you're on your own now, but the good news is
You're on your own
you're
now.
on your own. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So, Showgirl. We already know that you love the fate of Ophelia,
Yes.
but Showgirl, I mean, it's her latest album. So, of course, it's going to be polarizing because we saw the same thing happen with Tortured Poets. And now everyone's like, it's her magnum opus. Um, um, but a Showgirl in the Swiftie fandom has been very polarizing.
Mhm.
So, as a Swiftie, what are your honest thoughts on Showgirl? What are we like 6 months out? 6 months
Yeah.
in? Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I definitely like it. When it first came out, I listened to it straight through over and over. I don't think there's any song on it that I dislike.
Mhm.
But now that time has gone on, like I can definitely separate the songs that I love,
Mhm.
which are the first four, like
Mhm.
obsessed.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, the rest of the album just doesn't grab me as much,
Mhm.
but it will always be a special album for me because it was the first one that came out while I was like a
That's true.
Swiftie, like super fan. So
Yeah.
it was the first experience of like a full album rollout that I was actually paying attention to.
Yeah.
And so, like, that being able to experience the excitement and the buildup with the rest of the community was
Mhm.
really, really fun.
Yeah.
And so I I took off the day, October 3rd, took the day off of work. I hope my boss doesn't hear this.
Hey, you're allowed to take vacation days.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and I just listened to it all day and I, watch people's reactions and their interpretations and it was just so fun.
Mhm.
And it's like it's definitely a fun era for that have been my first like
Yeah.
rollout. The aesthetic of the album is gorgeous. Like it's
Yeah.
beautiful. But there's only 12 songs, so, it's a little hard
Yeah.
to like I don't feel like the album grabbed my soul, but
Mhm.
it's fun. It's super fun.
Yeah.
You can definitely feel like as she said, she was feeling so confident and happy
Yeah.
and that like definitely
Comes
translates through
through.
the album. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I do wish the album had like 3 more songs. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yep.
I
Totally.
think that's part of my issue with Showgirl, and I love it as an album, but coming after TTPD with 31 tracks that really required a lot of digestion
Yes.
and, like,
Yes.
to understand, like, to have 12 tracks that were very easy to understand, like,
Mhm.
it's just not as much to sink your teeth into.
Yeah.
Which
Yes. I
is,
think
as
that's what
Swifties, it's part of what we love about her music. So, like, I do understand on some levels how some people are, like, disappointed in it. But I think for me, I kind of detach that a little bit from, like,
Mhm.
I'm like, just because they're not heartbreaking and, like, filled with Easter eggs that we have to interpret and all these things
Mhm.
doesn't mean they're bad songs. Like, there are also Taylor songs
Right.
that I just love because they're bops, and I feel like this album is just more like bops. like happy bops, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So,
Yep. And I mean, she is in a league of her own. She's like only competing with herself basically.
yeah.
And so it's very hard to keep topping your own accomplishments. Like, you
Mhm.
know, this album seemed like really fun for her to make, and maybe
Mhm.
she just wanted to make a fun album after like going through so much
I mean, yeah, if you look
turmoil.
back, like Folklore, Evermore, Midnights, Tortured Poets, like girl was going through it.
Yeah, like the emotional processing of those albums
Mhm.
was a lot.
So for her to just be like, "Let me write some happy love songs and have fun in the
Yeah.
studio with these guys who are masters at creating just like fun pop songs."
Yeah.
Let the girl live,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yep. And in a couple years, we may have a totally different take on the album. Like,
Yeah.
as I've learned,
I mean, look at
you nee
Reputation.
Mhm. Yeah. You need years really to let something
Yeah,
simmer.
you do. Absolutely. So, since you had such a long road to becoming a Swiftie,
Mm.
what misconceptions did you have about Taylor before becoming a Swiftie that now looking back, you're like, oh, I had the wrong impression of her or
Yeah.
her?
Well, I didn't realize that she literally wrote every single song. Like,
Mm,
I feel like I had maybe heard it, like, in passing or something, but I didn't I didn't realize that she like, sits there and hand writes all of these songs.
mhm,
Like, I my, like, intro into pop music was, like, the late '90s, early 2000s of, like, NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, like, boy bands and Britney and Christina Aguilera, like,
right.
very curated acts,
Hmm.
like, to look a certain way, to sound a certain way, but no one thought they were writing their music, like, these songs
Yeah.
were written for them to be pop songs, and then they were to perform them.
By
So
Max Martin and Shellback. Or
exactly, yeah.
mainly Max Martin, I guess, at the time. But yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
They had writers. They were not
yeah,
songwriters. They were like performers.
yes.
Hmm.
So it never even entered my mind that this, like, pretty young girl was, like, writing all her own music. I had no idea. I
Hmm.
don't even know when I realized it, but it was, like, more recently than back then.
Hmm.
And then another one was that she she would pick her best songs to be the radio singles,
Oh,
which is completely not true.
right.
And so I think that was another reason why I didn't really, like, dive in because, the radio songs are great,
Hmm.
but I was like, I just assumed wrongly that, like, the full albums would just be, like, one, like,
Mm.
generic pop song after another.
And were you assuming like the best songs are on the radio, so why
Yes.
bother with the other ones?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's, like, where my regret is because I feel like I missed
Mm.
out on all these
Yeah.
such good songs. So, yeah, those 2 were definitely the biggest misconceptions. I never really, like, cared about her dating and stuff. I was more like, "You go," like, "Proud of you, girl."
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and, oh, another thing I completely missed was, like, the intensity of Snakegate.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
heard about it, but I was like, "Oh, that's just some, like, Twitter slop." Like, I didn't realize that it
Yeah.
derailed her life. I didn't
Hmm.
know about that. So, maybe that was another misconception too that, like, she's really a sensitive person, like, that got to
Mm.
her big
Right.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are all good. Is
Do
there
you
an
have any?
oh, do I? Oh, good question. Let me think for a second. I don't know, cause like when Snakegate happened, I was always on Taylor's side.
Yeah.
I and Laura and I have talked about this because we did like a whole episode about it, but
Yeah, that was a good one, by the way.
oh, thanks. Like I yeah, like I said in the episode, I always understood completely what Taylor was saying, like with the discrepancy of like, yes, I had a phone call with Kanye, but he never told me he was going to say this line, and this line upsets me. Like to me, that was always
Yeah.
clear. And I was like, why is nobody else understanding this? So I felt very vindicated when the truth came out and everyone was quiet.
Right.
Um,
And
yeah, go
I
ahead.
was kind of like the only thing I really remember from it was like all the snake emojis and like the hashtag. It was something
Mm,
like Taylor Swift is
yeah.
over party, something like that.
Hmm.
And like again, I was like, this is so mean. Like, why are you
Yeah.
picking on this woman
Right.
for what?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think with internet drama like that, as lay people, it's so easy for us to kind of see something like that on the internet and be like, well, that's kind of crazy. But then we just move on with our lives.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like such a big thing. But for Taylor Swift, it was a huge event in her life that made her
Right.
hide for a year, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Like misconceptions, I definitely had a little bit of like maybe even subconsciously loving her songs as I heard them on the radio, but never taking her seriously, I think.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like at that time, my favorite artists were like John Mayer and U2.
Mm.
And yeah, I don't know. I didn't take her that seriously, I guess, until the Red era when I was like, wait, I've loved every Taylor Swift song I've ever heard. So
Mhm.
why have I not listened to her albums? You know?
Yeah.
And then I got the Red album. I paid for it on iTunes and was like, wait, I love this. And I even remember it was at that time that I started my food blog,
Mhm.
cakeoversteak.com, which I haven't posted on since like 2019, but it's still on the internet if you want to look at it. And my very first blog post, I talked about making this cake that I loved and how I was listening to Taylor Swift on repeat. And I wrote something in my blog that was like, put Taylor Swift on repeat. No one's here to judge, which like implies that like people will judge you for listening
Yeah.
to Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
So I definitely had that conception of her,
Mhm.
even though I was loving her, but it was still like a little bit embarrassing almost to say
Mhm.
I'm a Swiftie,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
2013.
Yeah.
I think maybe my biggest misconception about Taylor is that she and Joe were happy. Like, I was like, yeah, she and Joe are solid. Like, I think they're going to get married,
I think
you
a lot
know?
of people thought that. I mean,
Yeah.
hindsight really is 2020 because
Yeah.
after everything happened, you can definitely see in the music like,
Hmm.
oh no, there were
Yeah.
red flags, problems,
Yeah.
but they were private. No one really knew,
Hmm.
how they were and you would
Yeah.
have no I mean, you never really know who the songs are actually about. So,
Hmm.
and speaking of Reddit, it's funny because I would sometimes like find posts from pre-2023
Hmm.
and the songs that we now know are obviously about problems. People were like speculating about totally different people.
Yeah. Hmm.
And so I don't think you're alone in
Right.
thinking
Yeah. And also, like, it's totally their right to put forward an image of a happy relationship,
yes.
because that's their business,
Yeah.
like,
I
I've said it
can't
before,
imagine
like,
the entire world like looking at you under a microscope, like everything
hmm.
you do and say and every person you're around.
Yeah.
I could not handle that.
Yeah. And like, if she and I hope that she and Joe broke up a while before we all found out. I hope that she had time to deal with that before it was public. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's like please, girl, go live your life. And then you can tell us about it later, which we
Yeah.
know that you will because you always have. you know? um, but yeah, so that's probably one of my biggest misconceptions.
Okay. I don't think you're alone there.
Yeah. Is there an underrated Taylor song that you would defend with your life?
Yes. The song is "We Were Happy" on
Oh,
the Fearless
okay.
vault tracks.
Deep
Yep.
cut. Mm.
Yes.
Okay, tell
Um,
me about it.
I th I definitely get, like, a very clear mental picture, like, it paints the scene really well. I think it's really romantic, and
Mhm.
I just like the melody of it. I don't know if this is true, but I think I remember reading, like, it might be about her parents, like, when they met each other
Oh,
or
okay.
were first, like, getting together.
Yeah.
Um, and, the song is, like, looking back in hindsight and, like, they don't end up together
Mm,
because it's all, like, past tense, "We were happy." And
yeah.
so it does fit, like, if that is about her parents. But even if it's not,
Mhm.
like, I still think it's a really beautiful
Yeah.
song. The Fearless vault tracks are some of my favorite. I really
Oh,
like them. Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Bye Bye Baby is a song I dislike.
Yeah, it's not my favorite.
Yeah. And I couldn't tell you why. I don't know, I just don't like it.
Yeah, uh,
Sometimes you just have one of those.
yeah.
I'll have to go back and listen to We Were Happy again. I don't listen to the Fearless Fall tracks very much. I do love You All Over Me with Maren Morris,
Mhm,
and I love Mr. Perfectly Fine.
mhm. Do
Um,
you like "Come In With the Rain"?
yeah, but
That's good.
that was a
It's not
bonus
a vault.
track. Yeah, it's
Oh, it's
not
a
a vault
bonus.
track. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay,
from, like,
okay.
the original, like, deluxe version or whatever.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I do like that one. Yeah, I don't listen to, like, We Were Happy and Don't
Or
You.
"That's When." I like "That's When" also with Keith
Yeah,
Urban.
I don't listen to them very often, but you know what's crazy? Every day as part of my Wordle puzzles that I do, my New York Times Wordle, the mini crossword, all that stuff, I start every day by playing this, I think it's called Swiftle.
Okay,
Where, like, it plays 1 second of a Taylor Swift song and you try to guess
nice.
it,
Uh-huh.
and then if you don't know, you can hit skip and it'll play 2 seconds or,
Okay.
you get up to, like, 5 seconds. And because I'm unwell, I get the song in 1 second almost
Yeah.
every day. And it's not like the first second of the song, it can be from any part of the song.
Oh, any part. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes it a little more interesting.
But, like, it'll be a song like We Were Happy, and I will know it. And I'm like, I don't even listen to this song. How did I know that it was We Were Happy from the Fearless Vault tracks? It
It's insane.
I creep myself out. But actually the other day, this one was really funny. It played a snippet, and I was like, "Oh, it's Christmas Tree Farm." It wasn't. Guess what it
Uh,
was? You'll never guess.
what?
Look what you made me do.
Oh, no, I could the,
Because
like,
it was strings. Yeah, it was, like, just this, like, snippet of strings that maybe that exact note is also in Christmas Tree Farm,
interesting.
but it was "Look what
That's
you made me
funny.
do." Oh, yeah, so that one made me laugh.
Yeah, that's good.
Alright, I like that answer, that was a good deep cut. Alright, so what song do you wish would have been added to the Eras Tour set list?
I did something bad. Like,
Oh, yes.
I just
Why?
I don't think she could top the Reputation tour, like,
She coulda just
performance of
done it
it.
again.
Yeah, I would've been fine with that.
Copy paste it, Taylor.
Would've been fine with that. Yeah, I don't know why. I
That
mean,
was a real tragedy.
it's one of my favorite songs, so obviously, like, I'm
Yeah.
biased, but it's so fun. And it's like,
Yeah.
I feel like it would be fun to perform too.
Oh my god.
But yeah, they could have done
Yeah,
the exact same
missed
thing.
opportunity. Even though the Reputation set was, like, perfection, but
Yeah.
they should have added that.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. What song do you wish you had a 10-minute version of?
So right now, Guilty as Sin. I think that would be so fun,
Oh my God.
scandalous.
You think she would make it even hornier?
Sure, why not?
Oh my God. That song is one of those songs that like people are like, I never would have made this public. But thank you, Taylor, for putting it out in the world.
Yeah, I
You know what I
mean,
mean?
it's a great song.
It's like
And
this one's
then,
for your diary, girl.
right.
Thank you.
No, she goes into great detail,
Yeah.
but it's a great song. Yeah,
I
I
would
think
love
it would
to see
be,
how she would expand on that. Do
I
like a
mean, she
second,
could
third bridge.
just keep coming up with more death analogies.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. So I asked you if there was a specific like lyric or song that you wanted to zoom in on a little bit and chat about. And you chose Peace, which is one of my favorite songs. So
Oh, nice.
thank you.
Yes.
And you highlighted 3 separate lyrics. So we're going to go through these.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the first one that you chose.
You paint dreamscapes on the wall. I talk shit with my friends. It's like I'm wasting your honor.
I'm gonna cry. Okay.
Okay.
Um,
Crying is welcome here. I do it all the time.
so that part, there's just so much to unpack in this song, like in
Yeah.
general, but it just says to me like she doesn't feel like she's not good enough for him.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like he has so much integrity and she just likes to gossip and like talk shit. Like it's
Right.
a lesser trait in her.
Hmm.
And like I can definitely relate to feeling like that in
Mm.
relationships.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. I like used to be a little confused by that lyric because in my mind, talking shit, she was talking about him. But it
Mm,
took me a while to realize that she just means like I'm just like gossiping and talking shit, just talking about random stuff.
yeah.
Whereas like you're painting dreamscapes on the wall, like
Yeah.
and
Well, it starts
especially
out your integrity makes me feel small.
right.
So it's like
Yeah.
she sees herself as like less than.
Right. And he was probably one of those people who's like, well, I don't like to gossip,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah.
It's like, well, sometimes you gotta. Okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Come on.
Right.
Actually, gossip has like made women safer. So
Yes.
we're
Yeah,
meant to gossip.
we are. And then here's the second one you chose.
The devil's in the details, but you got a friend in me.
This line like shatters me if I think about it too much because it's so just like the devil's in the details, no matter like what issues we have, like all the any problems, disagreements, like a lot of it's gonna come up. A lot
Mm,
of like, bad things might happen or just we may have problems. But no matter what, like you've got a friend in me, which it just says like,
mhm,
I will be there for you no matter what. And
mhm.
it reminds me of 2 songs, like You've Got a Friend in Me, the, Randy Newman song,
Yeah,
but
mhm.
also, do you know the song You've Got a Friend? That it's written by Carole King, and then James Taylor did
Yes.
a cover
Yeah.
of it. So, it, like,
Mhm.
reminds me of those 2 songs, which I feel like are
Mm,
probably, like, inspirations of hers, of
yeah.
Taylor's.
Well, you know Taylor was named after James Taylor.
I think I did know that, so that's, like, another connection. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then in Begin Again, she says, like, you didn't think you'd meet someone with, like, so many more James Taylor records than you or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So she's definitely a fan of James Taylor for sure.
yeah.
Um,
But yeah,
yeah.
I don't know, just that You've Got a Friend in Me is like, no matter
Mhm,
what, I'm gonna be there for
mhm.
you.
Also, how devastating that we can pretty much conclude that she wrote this song about Joe.
Mhm.
And in this song, she's saying, like, she's professing her love to him in this kind of intense way. But, like, I don't think they talk anymore. You know,
Right.
like, their
Yeah.
relationship ended in a way that, like, it's not like, "Oh, we'll stay friends, we just didn't work out."
Mhm.
It's like, "You're dead to me," you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
sad, but I
Yep.
guess sometimes that has to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's too hard
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. Alright, and this is the 3rd one you picked.
And you know that I'd swing with you for the fences, sit with you in the trenches.
Yeah. Whew. So
Mhm.
that one is like, when things are going well for you, I'll be there.
Mhm.
When things are going to shit for you, I'll be there.
Yeah.
The song is just like, yeah, it's professing her deep love, her commitment, like she's dedicated to him.
Mhm.
And at the same time, she feels lacking because she
Mm.
comes with so much like intensity that he doesn't want.
Right. Yeah. It's so
Because
sad.
yeah, because like no, she will never be able to be his
Mhm.
piece.
Right.
And and then yeah, at the end I just think to myself, I guess it wasn't enough.
No.
Wasn't.
Unfortunately.
And that makes me so much more sad because in hindsight it's like I guess she
Yeah.
kept asking, would it be enough?
Right.
And it wasn't.
And I think even I don't think we realized it at the time, but the fact that she even had to, like, ask that question kind of answers the question, I
Yeah.
think.
Mhm.
It's like, if it was enough, you would know that, and
Mhm.
you wouldn't have to ask. Like, "Hey, I can give you this, but not this. Is
Mhm.
that okay?"
Mhm.
Rather than just knowing, like, "Oh, he
Yeah.
loves me and wants to be with me despite this,"
Right.
you know? Which
Yep.
is what she has with Travis, obviously.
Yeah.
We're like, he clearly doesn't care, you know? Thank
Mhm.
God. Thank
Yeah.
God they found each other.
He's not a hot house flower,
Right. Yeah.
which Taylor taught me what that was.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. That and, glad handing. I never heard of that one either. Out glad
Like,
handing each other.
yeah, wait, glad handing, what does that mean again? I feel like I know
It's
it,
like
but I can't put
fooling
the
each
words to
other,
it.
like deceiving.
Wait, is it? Hold on, I'm gonna look this up.
Yeah.
Time for a Google. Okay, yeah. This it's like a politician who, like, greets or welcomes warmly or with the appearance of warmth.
Yeah, I
So,
think
like,
it's about the appearance, but it's not real. It's like
um
negative, I would say.
oh, here we go. A warm welcome or greeting, often prompted by ulterior reasons.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so it's like fake niceties.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Okay. Another political reference.
Right. Yeah. Because when she's
Okay.
talking about that, it's in Sweet Nothing. And because
Mhm.
she's talking about, like, that's going on outside, like, all these fake people, basically.
Right. Out glad handing each other. Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That reminds me of, like, when you and I were in Wuthering Heights for the 2nd time, and we were like, "What the hell is a dog in the manger?"
Yeah. You had the sense, though, to be like, "That means something. That
Yeah.
really means something," and I had never heard that term, but
Yeah.
it's a cool term if you want to explain it.
Yeah, it means, like, someone who's basically keeping something for like, kinda gatekeeping something
Yeah.
for themselves that they can't actually use.
Yes.
So, in Wuthering Heights, it was Kathy trying to kinda keep Heathcliff for herself, even though she's already married. She can't
Yep.
marry Heathcliff, but she doesn't want what was her name? Isabella?
Yeah.
To marry him. Yeah, so it made a lot of sense, but I remember wondering what the heck she meant the first time we saw it, and I
Mhm.
forgot to look it up, and then we see it again. I was like, "What the hell does this mean?"
Yeah.
Because it was
It
important to the story, but I had never heard that before.
it must be like an archaic term,
It must
maybe
be.
from that time period.
Yeah, I wonder if it's in the actual book. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to read it. So.
Nope.
Oh my gosh. All right. So just a couple more things here before we wrap up. What are you hoping to get from Taylor in her next album? Whether that's like a specific sound you're hoping to hear or like lyrics or themes. Like what would your ideal TS13 be like?
I kind of want to see it almost like the mirror image of Showgirl, like dark.
Okay.
Like I kind of want to see how dark she can get.
Like Reputation dark or like in the sound?
Like
You
this,
mean
like spooky.
spooky? Oh, like Who's Afraid of Little Old Me kind of
Yeah, kind
vibes?
of like that. Yeah. Like I don't
Okay.
mean dark as in like she's gonna like break our hearts in a million pieces, but like
Mhm.
kind of like spooky, like
Like grungy?
a little grungy, like maybe more like what's the musical term when some like not the happier sound, the like more sad. It's like a key,
Oh,
a
minor.
minor key. Yeah.
Okay. So less like poppy, sunshiny, polished sounding, more dark, sinister,
Yeah, I think
underworld Taylor.
that would be cool, but not in the way that like Canceled is. Because
Okay.
I feel like Canceled is she's still being too safe. Like
Okay.
I want to see like darker than
You
that.
wanted her to take it to the next level.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be fun. But I don't know if that makes sense for where she's at in her life.
I know. And like I don't know if that's really gonna go over with like the majority of fans, but
Yeah.
maybe throw a few in there like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Who's Afraid of Little Old Me? I think she really went into like,
Hmm.
being like a caged monster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
What about you? What do you think?
I mean, I think what I really want from Taylor, I want a rock album.
Yeah.
I would even love it if she just released I was thinking about this yesterday. Imagine if she did a weird compilation album of rock versions. So we would get like the rock version of We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together,
Mm-hmm.
Illicit Affairs,
Ooh.
probably like a couple other like Reputation tracks, kind of more like the way they did it on the Eras tour, like really like
Mm-hmm.
guitar heavy and like
Mm-hmm.
drums and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe like So High School and the Black Dog, like take them
Ooh.
in
Yeah.
like a rock or like 90s rock kind of direction.
I would love that.
And like, I don't know, maybe like State of Grace, take it super rock. Just,
Yeah.
like push them far in that direction. Yeah. But I think at this point, aside from like a rock album or maybe combined is like an Aaron Dessner 90s inspired rock album.
That'd be cool.
I would love a true 100% Aaron collab album because we almost have that with Evermore,
Mm-hmm.
and Evermore is my favorite album.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, like I'm thinking like an Aaron album that has a lot of the sound of like 'Tis the Damn Season, Clara Bow.
Yeah.
What else am I thinking of? I don't know. I'm blanking. But yeah, the two of them would've, coulda, should've, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Could you imagine a rock version of Champagne Problems?
Maybe. Or like Tolerate It.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it would just be fun.
Like
And
instead of
I like how she does that like on her tours that she'll change.
Yeah.
Like she kind of remixed Love Story to make it like a EDM version on the 1989 tour. Like I noticed
Oh,
that.
yeah. Yeah.
Kind of like she can get creative.
Yeah. Ooh, also Wildest Dreams, because I love her Grammys Museum performance of Wildest Dreams where it's just her singing and playing electric guitar.
Ooh, I need to watch that. I haven't seen that one.
Oh, that basically I need electric guitar everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Okay.
She also, when she holds that
Wow.
electric guitar, she like has a different attitude. and I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I would love. I'll be happy with whatever. I just
Yep.
want more than 12 songs. But it's good. TS13, it's probably going to have 13 tracks.
Maybe. Or maybe
But then
it'll
I
have
need bonus
26.
tracks.
It might have a double album, 13
I'll take
and 13. Yeah.
Give it to
Yeah.
me. Give it to me. All right. Last question. Who is an artist that you're enjoying a lot right now that you think other Swifties would really appreciate?
I'm gonna go with Maggie Antone.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
love that. You got me
I
into her. Yeah.
I think she's so like cheeky and witty. The
Mhm.
songs are funny. And I feel like she probably gets some inspiration from Taylor. Like it's
Yeah.
very country, but it does remind me a little bit of it has like a Taylor vibe.
Let me look up
The way
her
she writes.
track list real quick. Yeah, you sent her to me. I ended up buying her vinyl. I loved it so much.
Yeah, Rhinestoned.
Yeah, she's very country, but like her song on here called I Don't Want to Hear About It is one of my favorites. And it reminds me of Last Kiss by Taylor because there's something about the beginning of it that sounds a lot like it, but it's also, I think, in 3/4 time, which
Okay.
Last Kiss is as well. But then I also love, I love a lot of this, but I think the song High Standards was probably what really hooked me in.
Totally. Yeah, that's my favorite song on there.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a really good pick.
It's a fun album. It's like pretty short. It's like
Yeah.
30, 40 minutes or so. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
it's
fun
10
one.
tracks. But yeah, it's solid.
Yeah.
She's got a great voice. But yeah, more traditional country. I actually got my former mother-in-law into it.
Oh,
She texted me a couple different times. She was like, "Who's that artist you sent me? I'm with Caitlin and I want to play it for her," or whatever. So yeah, she really liked her. Yeah.
That's always such a compliment when they're wanting to play it for somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. And then so I wanted to mention how you and I talked about how we both love Noah Khan, but for his new album coming up, The Great Divide, you and I are going to do a reaction video together. So that
I've never done it before. I am so excited.
Yeah. So just for fun, I'm going to put that on the YouTube channel. And then I think you and I are probably going to do a second podcast episode together, kind of breaking down that album, but also tying Noah stuff into Taylor stuff and like some parallels there, some similarities. So I would imagine a lot of people listening are also fans of Noah, but if you're not yet, then maybe we can convince you to why Noah is so amazing. Because in my mind, Noah is kind of like, he's one of the only other artists out there, and especially a male artist who I think his like lyricism is on par with Taylor.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So yeah, very excited for that. And yeah, so did you have anything else?
No, I just want to shout to Laura that I hope I made her proud.
I'm sure you did. Also, I did get to visit Laura today. So I met her little baby Theo. I got to hold him.
Oh.
He definitely farted a couple times in my hands.
As they do.
Yeah, I got to like feed him a bottle and stuff, but
Nice.
she and Luke are like settling in and getting the hang of it, and
Good.
they're all doing well. So
Good.
that was nice. And she's excited to listen to this episode because she's like, I feel like I know Stef, but I've never heard Stef.
Oh,
you know?
right. Yeah, we've
Like,
actually never met each other.
Yeah, you've never met. So, so yeah, she's very excited to listen to this one.
All right. Well.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you for taking the time to join me and chat about Taylor.
Had a lot of fun.
Awesome. All right, let me get this outro going. Laurie usually does this, but I'm on my own here, so
You're on
here
your
we
own,
go.
You can face this.
So thank you so much for joining us. If you'd like to support the pod, please give us a follow at Blank Plate Pod on TikTok and Instagram. And please subscribe to our channel on YouTube, which is where you can also find our reaction videos and upcoming me and Stef reacting to Noah Khan, assuming that goes well. If you'd like to get in touch, please reach out via email at blankplatepod@gmail.com, or you can text us or leave us a voicemail at 717-382-8313. And if you're enchanted by what we're doing here, please consider supporting us on Patreon, which is where we do a monthly bonus episode focusing on Taylor's older songs. You can find the link to our Patreon in our show notes, or you can go there directly at patreon.com/blankplatepodcast. And until next time, we had the time of our lives with you, and it's time to go. And thanks again, Steph, for being here with us.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye.
Bye.